And after that, I was in chapel praying. I tell the story all the time. I was in chapel praying over Mary and John at the foot of the cross when Jesus says, "Behold your mother." And when Jesus says, "Behold your mother," I kind of freeze and like nothing happens. It goes blank. So I just kind of stayed there because it was like, there's something important here, but like I can't, my heart doesn't want to access it. And it was about 2 weeks of that. And then Jesus says, "Behold your mother." And I have this feeling, this kind of like butterfly feeling, or this kind of connected feeling. And it was tied to the memory of being about 12, and I was downstairs watching television, and this woman came to visit my stepmom. And when I heard this woman's voice, my heart moved in a way that was super confusing.
Hmm.
And after she left, I asked if I was supposed to know her. And my stepmom said, "Oh, no." I said, "I feel like I'm supposed to know her. I don't know. Ask your father." There was like a weird
Hmm.
kind of, don't ask that question. So I never asked it. And as it came up in prayer, like 30 years worth of small conversations came up because I knew this person throughout my adolescence, like they were friends of the family. Um, and so my mother was diagnosed with cervical cancer on a pregnancy checkup, decided to carry me to term and then get treatment. So when I was born, she had my two brothers, who were like probably 5 and actually like 7 and 5 at the time, and then me. And she had cancer. So the pastor of our parish asked this family to help us, and they would babysit and take my mom to doctor's appointments and bring us dinner and clean the house. When my mom went into the hospital where she died, my brothers went and lived with their father, and I lived with the babysitter family.
Oh, wow.
And the mother of the babysitter family was the lady who came by
Wow.
when I was 12. So I figured that out, and then I had to find them, and I go on Facebook and I find them. And in like 5 emails, I learned more about my mother than I had in 37 years of my life. Like every day she would call from the hospital, they put the phone to my ear, and nobody ever told me that story. Or every day, um, we would go and lay in bed with her when she couldn't get out of bed anymore. I never knew that story.
Hmm.
Whenever I asked my father about the scenario, he would say, "Your mother didn't want to bond with you so that you could bond with your new mom," which was sort of his way of saying, "I haven't grieved. I don't want to be reminded of my own grief. So you need to stop grieving. Just move on to your new mom." And so grief has always been incredibly hard because I wasn't allowed to do it from the very earliest years of my life. And and that just wasn't true,
No, those
right?
were like tender moments with your mom that you didn't know that you
And
had.
I didn't know I had them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I went to counseling, it was like 2 hours away from where this family lived now at the time. And so I went down to visit them, and I'm super nervous, and I get down there and I knock on the door, and Fred answers the door and just says, "Oh, hey, Sean, come on in." Cause like it's normal for people to visit them.
Mm.
And I go in, and then his wife, Mary, comes in, and she starts telling, she's been on the phone with everybody, like who remembered me when I was a kid and I used to live with them, and
Man,
what her,
piecing this
what
whole
her
thing
aunt
together.
used to say about me, like all these stories. And then she has this bag of stuff for Sean Kilcawley. And inside the bag, she had like all the birthday cards from my second birthday party, all the newspaper clippings when I was in high school, a piece of construction paper that says "To Mary Mom from Sean." You open it up and it says "I love you" in big letters.
Wow.
She carried that stuff around for 35 years. And giving it to me, or being able to receive that from her at 37 years old, it just shifted something. And I started to realize, like, oh, this is what they mean when they say the word son.
Mm.
Because I found myself entrusting myself to this person. And I found myself like confronted with somebody who's held me in their heart for a very long time without wanting anything from me in return. And something shifted. And it was the beginning of the beginning of the beginning of a lot more healing in my ability to live out being a son,